Many people confuse arrogance with confidence or noise with power. They think that shouting makes them strong or that attention makes them respected. But this is the illusion of fools. True confidence is invisible until it is necessary, and when it appears, it dominates all. In this lesson, we will solve the question: what separates those who pretend to be confident from those who truly command respect? The first trait of the truly confident is silence. Not the silence of weakness, not the silence of fear, but the silence of power. You see, the man who is sure of himself does not need to announce it. He does not need to roar like a desperate lion, for his presence already creates an invisible weight in the room. Watch carefully. When the insecure man enters, he is restless. His tongue betrays him. He rushes to prove that he belongs, to assure others of his worth, to justify his presence. And in that flood of words, he exposes his lack of control. But the man of confidence, he speaks less, and when he does, his words land like stone upon water, rippling through the minds of everyone who hears them. Why is silence authority? Because silence forces others to measure themselves against you. They cannot read you, they cannot predict you, and so they begin to wonder. In their wondering, they reveal more about themselves than they should, while you reveal nothing. Your silence makes others fill the space with their own fears, their own insecurities, their own guesses. This is power, for the one who controls the mystery controls the game. Do not think this is merely theory. History itself has shown us that rulers, generals, even cunning courtiers won battles not just with swords and armies, but with the weight of their silence. Words can be challenged. Silence cannot. Words can be twisted, but silence becomes whatever others fear it to be. Consider how often fools betray themselves with their own mouths. A single careless word can unravel alliances, expose weakness, and give ammunition to enemies. Yet the silent man, the one who observes more than he speaks, avoids such traps. His silence is not empty, it is calculating. He listens, he watches, he collects information while giving away nothing. This creates an imbalance, for while others spend themselves in chatter, he grows rich in knowledge and poor in exposure. And what is confidence, if not the certainty that you cannot be easily cornered, cannot be easily read, cannot be easily destroyed? Silence builds this fortress around you. Imagine being insulted in front of many. The insecure man immediately defends himself, spilling words like spilled wine. The arrogant man lashes out, burning his temper into the air. But the confident man, the one who understands the authority of silence, he pauses. He lets the air grow heavy. His lack of reaction unsettles his enemy more than any response could. For now, the insulter does not know if he has struck or if he has only exposed his own foolishness. Silence in this moment becomes the sword, sharper than any retort. And those who witness it begin to see where true strength lies. You must understand, silence is not the absence of voice. It is the control of voice. It is knowing when to withhold, when to make the other side uneasy with your restraint. In negotiation, the talkative man often loses, for he reveals too much in his desperation to persuade. But the silent man, the one who listens more than he speaks, creates pressure. The other side begins to talk themselves into corners, begins to reveal their true position, begins to bargain against themselves. This is the silent man's advantage. His silence is a mirror in which others expose their own desperation. And when he finally does speak, his words arrive not as mere suggestions, but as verdicts. Confidence is not about volume, it is about gravity. 1,000 words spoken without pause are forgotten by nightfall. But one sentence delivered after long silence can be remembered for years. The truly confident man knows this. He uses silence as the stage on which his few chosen words perform. And those words, surrounded by the echo of restraint, strike harder than endless noise. It is the silence that gives them weight. This is why silence is authority. It creates anticipation, it creates mystery, it creates fear, and it makes your presence larger than life. Learn this well. The insecure man reveals himself in his noise. The arrogant man exhausts himself in his boasting. But the truly confident man governs through silence. It is his invisible weapon, his invisible armor, his invisible crown. The second trait of the truly confident is self-control over impulse. To the weak man, impulse is a master. He feels anger and he obeys it. He feels fear and he surrenders to it. He feels envy, and it drives him like a whip across his back. But the confident man, the man of true power, does not bow before every flicker of emotion. He bends impulse to his will. He holds it still, studies it, and only releases it when it will serve him, never when it controls him. You see, many mistake outbursts for strength. They believe that raising their voice, striking first, or rushing into battle shows courage. In reality, it shows slavery. For the one who reacts instantly is chained by whatever provokes him. If insult makes you explode, then your enemy owns you. If flattery makes you melt, then your enemy owns you. If temptation makes you betray your values, then your enemy owns you. And what is a man worth if he can be steered like a puppet by the strings of his own feelings? Self-control is not suppression. It is mastery. The confident man does not deny that he feels anger, desire, or fear. He feels them fully, but he does not let them decide for him. Instead, he makes them wait. He makes his rage stand still until it can be unleashed with devastating precision. He makes his desires bow until he can take them without cost. He makes his fear kneel until it sharpens his strategy rather than crippling his courage. In this way, emotions become tools, not tyrants. Think of the general who rushes his army into battle at the first sign of insult from the enemy. His pride makes him reckless. His army bleeds because he could not resist his wounded ego. But think also of the general who absorbs the insult, who lets the enemy believe they have unsettled him, while inside he is sharpening his plan. When he strikes, it is not with the heat of anger, but with the cold hand of calculation, and that strike ends the war, not the skirmish. This is the advantage of self-control. It delays gratification, but magnifies victory. No, picture the man in the court of politics, surrounded by flatterers. The insecure one swells with pride when he is praised. He drinks the honeyed words as if they were truth, and soon he cannot tell friend from deceiver. But the man of self-control hears the same words, feels the same temptation to believe, yet resists. He does not become intoxicated by praise, nor destroyed by criticism. His self-control makes him steady, while those around him sway like reeds in the wind. This steadiness, this refusal to be governed by impulse, creates an aura of invincibility. The marketplace, too, is filled with those enslaved by impulse. One man spends at the hint of luxury. Another panics at the first sign of loss. They are tossed like ships in stormy waters. But the confident man remains calm, even when fortune shifts. He buys when others panic. He waits when others rush. He strikes when others retreat. This patience, born of self-control, multiplies his power while others waste theirs. The world belongs to the one who can resist his first impulse, because the first impulse is rarely the right one. Even in personal conflict, self-control is the dividing line between those who command respect and those who are forgotten. Imagine being provoked before a crowd. The one who reacts immediately, who shouts, who lashes out, is seen as unstable, predictable, and weak. But the one who remains composed, who looks calmly at his enemy and does not move, unsettles everyone. They whisper to themselves, what is he thinking? What is he planning? What is he waiting for? His restraint becomes more terrifying than any outburst. This is why self-control is the essence of confidence, because it makes a man unreadable, and unreadable men are dangerous. Do not confuse confidence with indulgence. The man who eats, drinks, and spends as he pleases, who shouts when he is angry and boasts when he is happy, is not confident. He is a slave parading as a master. But the man who governs himself, who commands his own passions as if they were soldiers in his service, is untouchable. His enemies cannot predict him. His allies cannot manipulate him, and his rivals cannot provoke him. This is not a man moved by the world. It is a man who moves the world. The third trait of the truly confident is independence from validation. Most men are chained not by iron, but by opinion. They rise when praised, and they collapse when ignored. They live for applause, and when applause is taken away, their very spirit is stolen. This is not confidence. It is dependency disguised as strength. For the man who must be fed approval is no different from a beggar who waits for bread at the gate. He may smile, he may boast, he may strut, but inside his worth is borrowed, not owned. The truly confident man understands something far darker, far sharper. Respect from others is valuable, but it is never the foundation. He does not measure his worth in claps, nor in the nods of the crowd. He stands in a room full of critics and feels nothing but calm because his center is built on stone, not shifting winds. Others may withdraw their praise, they may spread whispers, they may mock or attempt to shame him, but none of it changes him. Their noise is merely wind against a fortress wall. The wall remains. Consider how dangerous it is to depend on validation. A man who needs approval is easily manipulated. His rivals know his weakness, and they exploit it. They praise him when they want to steer him, and they withdraw their attention when they want to punish him. He dances between their hands without realizing he is the puppet and not the master. But the man who does not need them, who does not crave their smiles nor fear their silence, is untouchable. How do you buy the loyalty of one who does not hunger for approval? How do you threaten one who is unmoved by disapproval? You cannot. And that makes him unbreakable. True confidence demands that you hold your value in your own grasp. You may stand alone, and yet you feel no emptiness. You may walk without applause, and yet your steps do not falter. This terrifies people, for the crowd cannot understand how someone lives without their acceptance. They see him as arrogant, even dangerous, because he is free, and freedom is always frightening to those still enslaved. When a man is independent of validation, he is no longer in the marketplace of opinion. He sets his own price, and no one dares to bargain. Look at history, and you will find that the most feared leaders, the ones who left their mark upon the earth, did not bend themselves to please the masses. They did not change direction with every whisper. They were hated by some, admired by others, but always steady. And in time, that steadiness itself became power. The people who once doubted them had no choice but to respect them. Because consistency is a form of dominance. A man who does not break, even when unloved, forces others to acknowledge his strength. He bends the world to his will because the world cannot bend him. Now imagine the opposite. The man who is desperate for approval. He enters a room and scans every face, looking for signs of acceptance. A laugh in the corner unsettles him. A frown across the table distracts him. A word of praise intoxicates him. He is not present, he is not focused, because his mind is chained to the eyes of others. This man cannot lead, he cannot rise, he cannot endure, because he is never himself. He is merely a reflection of those around him, and reflections disappear when the light fades. But the man independent of validation carries his own light. He does not seek it from others, he projects it. When others insult him, he does not bend, he does not beg, he does not even defend himself frantically. He lets the insult die in the air because he knows it cannot reach him. When others praise him, he nods, but he does not swell with pride, for he knows praise is as shallow as insult. His value remains constant, untouched, untouchable. And this consistency is what makes him magnetic. Ironically, the one who does not seek approval ends up commanding the most respect, for people are drawn to those who seem unshakable. Confidence is independence from the chains of validation. It is the ability to stand when no one claps, to walk when no one follows, to remain firm when every voice tells you to bend. And when you achieve this, you are no longer a servant to the opinions of men. You become their measure, their standard, the one against whom they secretly compare themselves. This is why true confidence does not shout for attention, it does not beg for applause. It does not tremble at rejection, it is silent, steady, and sovereign. The fourth trait of the truly confident is strategic patience. To the impulsive man, waiting feels like weakness. He believes that power means speed, that striking first is always the path to victory. He cannot endure the silence between moments, he cannot sit still while others move, and so he wastes his strength in 1,000 small battles. But the confident man, the one who understands the art of power, knows that patience is not stillness. It is preparation. He knows that waiting is not weakness, but the sharpening of the blade before it is drawn. The world is full of those who rush. They rush to speak before they think. They rush to attack before they see the battlefield. They rush to seize what glitters, only to discover it was worthless. These men spend themselves too quickly, like gamblers who throw their fortune into the game at the first hand. And when their luck falters, they are destroyed. But the man of patience conserves his strength. He waits, not because he is timid, but because he knows that time itself can be an ally. Each moment he waits, his enemy grows careless, reveals more, makes mistakes. Each moment he waits, the situation tilts, and when he finally acts, it is not with desperation but with inevitability. Strategic patience is not passive. It is not the idleness of those who do nothing because they fear. It is the deliberate act of those who hold themselves back, restraining their power until the precise moment when it will crush resistance. Think of the serpent coiled in the grass. It does not strike at every shadow, nor at every movement. It waits, it measures. It chooses the exact instant when its strike will be fatal. This is what patience truly means in the hands of the confident. It transforms waiting into a weapon. The man without patience is predictable. Everyone knows he will rush to defend his pride, that he will leap at the first opportunity, that he cannot sit with discomfort. This predictability makes him weak, but the patient man unsettles everyone around him. His silence stretches time itself. Others grow nervous in the emptiness he creates. They wonder why he does not react, why he does not move, why he does not answer. Their own anxiety betrays them. They reveal themselves, they lose control, they hand him information he never had to ask for. Patience, therefore, is not simply waiting. It is pressure. It forces others to crumble beneath the weight of their own restlessness. In politics, the impatient man is the one who speaks too early, who reveals his intentions before they are secure, who demands recognition before he has earned it. He gains short applause, but long defeat. The confident man, however, waits. He holds his plans close, reveals only fragments, and allows his rivals to underestimate him. Then, when his moment comes, he moves with such certainty that no one can resist him. What looked like sudden strength was not sudden at all. It was years of patience collapsing into one decisive act. This is the kind of power that endures, because it is built not on impulse, but on calculation. Strategic patience also extends to dealing with enemies. The insecure man cannot sleep until he strikes back at every insult. He cannot rest until he retaliates for every small wound. But the confident man does not waste himself in petty battles. He absorbs the insults, he lets them pass, because he knows time will grant him a greater opportunity. He waits until his enemy grows careless, until they step too far, until they place themselves in a position from which there is no escape. Then he moves. His revenge, delayed and precise, carries far more weight than the hasty retaliation of the insecure. This kind of patience turns the smallest slight into the foundation for total victory. Patience is also the shield of the confident man. He can endure discomfort, endure mockery, endure uncertainty, because he knows that endurance itself is a form of strength. Those who cannot wait collapse under the weight of time. Those who can wait outlast them. And in power, to outlast is often to conquer. A rival who cannot endure silence, who cannot endure not knowing, who cannot endure delay, will destroy themselves before you ever need to act. All you must do is hold your ground, and let time work for you. The truly confident man does not rush to prove himself. He does not race against the crowd, nor beg for immediate recognition. He knows that the greatest victories are not won in haste but in patience. He lets the others exhaust themselves in noise and chaos, while he builds silently, steadily, until the day comes when he can no longer be ignored. And when that day arrives, it appears as though he has conquered the world overnight. But the truth is, his empire was built in the waiting, long before his first strike. The fifth trait of the truly confident is composure under attack. Anyone can appear calm when the room is friendly, when the voices around them are full of praise, when fortune seems to smile. But the true measure of a man is not found in comfort, it is revealed in conflict. It is in the moment when insults are hurled, when enemies conspire, when the storm surrounds you. That is when your spirit is tested. And here, the difference between the weak, the arrogant, and the truly confident becomes clear. The weak man collapses under attack. His face betrays his fear, his voice trembles. His body bends as if he were made of glass. His enemies see this, and their attack intensifies. For nothing excites predators more than the scent of weakness. He thinks that by showing his hurt, by appealing to mercy, he might soften the blows. But mercy is not given to the weak, it is taken advantage of. His fall becomes inevitable because his reaction gives his enemies exactly what they wanted. Proof that he can be broken. The arrogant man, on the other hand, erupts in rage. He shouts, he threatens, he pounds the table to display his strength. He believes this fire is power, but in truth, it is desperation disguised as dominance. For in his outburst, he shows that the attack struck its mark. He has revealed that he is easily provoked, easily led by his emotions, easily made into a fool by those who know how to press his buttons. His fire burns bright, but it burns uncontrolled, and soon it consumes him. The arrogant man, like a candle in the wind, flickers wildly and dies quickly. But the truly confident man, he does neither. When insulted, he does not rush to defend himself. When provoked, he does not lash out. When plotted against, he does not tremble. He holds his composure as though he were carved from stone. His enemies grow uneasy, for they cannot read him. They wonder, why does he not react? Why does he not answer? Has their attack failed? Or is he waiting to strike back in a way they cannot anticipate? This silence, this stillness, becomes more terrifying than any scream. For the unknown is always more frightening than the known. Composure under attack is the highest form of discipline. It demands that you chain your pride, that you resist the urge to prove yourself in the heat of the moment. For every quick defense, every desperate denial, only feeds the fire of your enemies. But the one who remains unmoved denies them satisfaction. He becomes a mirror in which their own hatred is reflected back upon them. They rage louder, and yet he remains calm. They grow desperate, and yet he remains still. Eventually, their attack consumes itself, while his silence remains intact. This composure also wins the respect of those who watch. The crowd may not love you, but they will admire you if you remain steady under fire. People are drawn to strength they cannot shake, to dignity that does not collapse. They see that you are not a man blown about by every insult, every rumor, every accusation. They see that you are anchored, and in this anchoring, you become a point of gravity in their eyes. For even those who do not side with you will recognize your resilience. They may conspire against you, they may resist you, but deep within, they will respect you. Because you did not break, there is also great strategic value in composure. When you do not react, you buy yourself time. Time to think, time to calculate, time to choose the perfect moment to respond. For not every attack requires an answer, and not every insult deserves retaliation. Sometimes the most devastating move is to ignore it, to let it die in the air without acknowledgement. And sometimes, when the moment is right, you respond not with words but with actions so decisive that they silence every critic. But this choice can only be made by the man who holds his composure. The impatient, the angry, the insecure, they are too busy reacting to see the opportunity. The confident man understands that attack is inevitable. No one who rises will escape envy. No one who gains power will avoid slander. No one who dares to be different will be free of mockery. But he also understands that attack itself is a sign of importance. If enemies gather against you, it means you are a threat. If you are insulted, it means your presence unsettles others. And so, instead of breaking under attack or raging against it, the confident man welcomes it. He wears composure as armor, turning their attempts to wound him into proof of his strength. To master composure under attack is to master perception. You cannot control what others say, but you can always control how you respond. And in that response, or lack of it, lies the essence of confidence. For while words may fly like arrows, they cannot pierce a man who refuses to give them power. And when the storm ends, as it always does, it is not the loud nor the weak who remain standing, but the one who stayed unshaken. The sixth trait of the truly confident is the power of reserved action. Understand this: most men mistake constant movement for strength. They believe that to always act, to always speak, to always respond, makes them appear decisive. In reality, it makes them appear restless, desperate, and predictable. For the man who cannot hold back, who cannot resist showing his hand, is already defeated. The truly confident man knows that power lies not in acting endlessly, but in acting rarely and with precision. A single decisive move outweighs 1,000 wasted gestures. The weak man spends his energy proving himself again and again, hoping to convince the world of his worth through noise and display. The arrogant man, too, acts recklessly, trying to overwhelm through excess, striking everywhere but hitting nothing. But the confident man, he holds his power in reserve. He does not waste his strength on battles that do not matter. He does not rush to strike at every opportunity. He lets others wonder when or if he will move at all. And when he finally does, his action carries the weight of inevitability, as though it had been written in stone all along. This is the essence of reserved action. It is not the absence of power. It is the concealment of it until the perfect moment. Think of the archer who does not loose his arrow at the first glimpse of the enemy. He waits, steady, bow drawn, until his target steps into the open. When the arrow finally flies, it does not miss. The impatient archer may fire 10 arrows and strike nothing. The patient archer fires once and ends the fight. Confidence is this same discipline applied to every part of life, knowing when to hold and when to strike with such force that no one forgets it. Reserved action also multiplies perception. The man who acts constantly, who cannot resist showing his hand, becomes ordinary. His moves are expected, his rhythm is predictable, and soon no one fears him. But the man who restrains himself, who keeps his cards hidden, grows larger in the imagination of others. Every silence, every pause, every unmade move is filled by their own fears. They begin to imagine threats where there are none, to prepare for strikes that may never come. His inaction becomes more powerful than their action, because it drains them while costing him nothing. This is the silent victory of reserved action, making your enemies exhaust themselves against ghosts, while you remain untouched. That's Siddha politics. The desperate man announces his plans, shouts his victories, flaunts his intentions. He does so because he fears being ignored, because he needs recognition at every step. But the confident man builds quietly, making moves without noise, preparing foundations without applause. And then, when the structure is complete, when his position is unshackable, he reveals it all at once. To the outside world, it appears sudden, shocking, impossible. They ask, how did he achieve this? The truth is, his power was in the patience of reserved action. He did not display the process, only the result. And results, unveiled at the right moment, are far more intimidating than noise scattered along the way. Even in conflict, the confident man's restraint makes him dangerous. His enemies hurl insults, challenge him, try to provoke him into acting rashly. But he does not answer. He watches. He waits. He lets them expose their weaknesses in their eagerness to defeat him. And when he finally acts, it is not to match insult with insult, or blow with blow. It is to end the contest entirely. His reserved action is final, leaving no space for response. In this way, the confident man spends his energy like gold, rarely, carefully, only when it will yield the greatest return. There is also an aura that surrounds reserved action. People are unsettled by what they cannot predict. A man who acts constantly reveals his entire character, his strengths, his flaws, his tendencies. He becomes easy to read, easy to manipulate. But the man who holds back, who moves only when he chooses, becomes a mystery. Others project their fears and fantasies onto him. They wonder what he is capable of, what he is planning, when he will strike. In their uncertainty, they elevate him to a figure larger than life, because the unknown is always magnified in the imagination. His power is not only in what he does, but in what they think he might do. To master the power of reserved action is to master timing itself. You do not waste arrows on shadows. You do not exhaust yourself proving strength to those who already doubt. You wait, you watch, you let time arrange the field in your favor. And then, at the moment when your move will have the greatest impact, you act with such clarity and precision that no one can resist. One move, one strike, one decision, enough to shift everything in your direction. This is why the truly confident man does not seek to act always, but to act effectively. Narrator's voice deep, measured, unhurried. Now, you have seen the truth behind the mask of confidence. It is not the loud voice, nor the restless hand, nor the endless display that commands respect. Confidence, in its truest form, is a silent architecture, built on foundations invisible to the crowd, yet unshakable to those who try to test it. The 6 traits we explored are not ornaments to impress others, but weapons forged to survive in a world ruled by power, perception, and control. Detachment teaches you not to be enslaved by the fleeting emotions of others, for the man who rises above insult, above praise, becomes untouchable. Silence shows you that words, once spent, are forever gone, but silence builds tension, forces others to reveal themselves, and multiplies your presence without effort. The calm presence is the mark of one who cannot be rattled, the figure in the storm who does not flinch, and by that stillness bends the world around him. Indifference to noise frees you from the chaos that consumes lesser men, because he who ignores distraction directs his power only where it matters. Unshakable control over your emotions ensures that no hand can pull your strings, for the man who commands himself commands the game entirely. And the power of reserved action turns patience into a blade, allowing you to strike only once, but with the force to end everything. These traits together form a discipline, a code, a way of living where confidence is not performance, but strategy. Understand this: the world bows not to those who shout the loudest, nor to those who act without pause, but to those who remain steady, measured, impossible to read. The truly confident man is feared because he is not grasping for approval, not chained by impulse, not weakened by reaction. He is feared because he is complete within himself. His victories seem inevitable, his moves unstoppable, his silence unbearable. He does not rush to be seen. He allows the world to turn its eyes to him. And when he finally chooses to move, to speak, to strike, his presence reshapes the ground beneath the feet of others. This is the lesson of true confidence. It is not given, it is not loud, it is not fragile. It is built, piece by piece, in the shadows of discipline, patience, and restraint. And once built, it cannot be broken, for it does not depend on the approval of others. It depends only on mastery of self. That is why the confident man does not ask for recognition, nor does he fear being overlooked. He knows the truth. Power is not in showing yourself constantly, but in making every appearance unforgettable.